adopting 2 ordinances, correcting previously adopted annexation ordinances related to 2 parcels on North Trath Street, and request for waiver of requirement for second reading of the ordinance, and also second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 17.12.040 to add requirement for advanced Common Council review of proposed landmark designation for property owned by the city of Whitewater.
All right, the motion is to approve. Is there any further discussion? All right, roll call, Michelle.
McCormick?
Aye.
Schulget?
Aye.
Grady?
Aye.
Benny?
Aye.
Singer?
Aye.
Allen?
All right, motion passed. Move on to our next item, which is city manager update. Cameron?
All right. Well, happy Tuesday. It's not Wednesday yet. Like I've been going that long, but we'll go ahead and go through the report tonight. Glad everyone is here. So, first area I wanted to update everyone on was human resources. We will be beginning tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon negotiations with the Whitewater Professional Police Association. So that will be the second phase of labor negotiations for our represented employees. And once that negotiation is completed, we'll have 2 agreements. One will be for the police, and the other will be for the Professional Police Supervisors Association, which is WPPSA, representing the lieutenants in the department as well. Also, in the hopper at the moment is the recruitment of an administrative assistant / deputy clerk for the city. And I didn't ask her for any further information, but I know Michelle spent a great deal of time yesterday along with our HR coordinator in interviews of potential candidates. And so more will be coming in the future on that, but that's in progress. So I'm sure he would love to have a better picture up there, but he's an outstanding guy. Brad Marquardt is our new Public Works Director, and I'll ask him to stand up and say hello. But Brad comes to us from Wausau, and formerly with DIS, MTech Services located in Weston, Wisconsin. So he's a professional engineer and has a number of years of experience working in public sector, public works departments, as well as private sector experience with this prior firm. So we're thrilled to have him. This is day 2.
Day 2.
Day 2. I don't know.
Feels like day 5.
You're welcome to say hello. Anything that you want to say? Any questions, council members?
You pretty much covered it all. I come with close to 25 years experience, most of it in the municipal side with the city of Wausau. A couple years on the private side. Cameron said it's my second day. It's been filled to the brim so far. Information overload, but that's good. So I just look forward to helping out the city improve and move forward as soon as I can, and look forward to it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks, Brad, very much. Welcome. So if you have any public works related questions, we now have a public works director that you can call in addition to speaking with our superintendents and our utilities and streets. So we're thrilled to have them. Hotel development, this is just an update for this body, and thought worthwhile to make mention. The Planning Commission on Monday night approved with contingent on all things working out between private developer engineering folks and city engineering folks regarding the potential development of a hotel. Would be where exists now a parking lot in front of what was the Century Building and is now the Community Outreach or Community Engagement Center for the university. So that is moving forward. The rest of the work, I believe, at this point is really among staff and then for the developer securing all their financing and moving forward. So look for in the next few months something happening in the parking lot there of that building. Also, as part of the capital improvement plan, included in the capital improvement plan is listed an amphitheater. So, and staff has been looking at for some time the possibility of improving the stage in Cravath Lakefront Park, and part of that improvement, or all of that improvement, would ideally be an amphitheater. So we, without knowing whether or not we could do it, we wanted to first look at cost, and we're in process of looking at that currently. The pictures there are of one I failed to get the detail from Eric regarding where it was located in Wisconsin, but this is similar to a style that I think right now internally is seen as favorable. If any proposals do come forward in the next 12 months, you might see that picture like that again. Just a couple other things to note regarding programs. This one on gymnastics started this week, very well attended. Children ages 3 through 18 are given the opportunity to join 4 different levels of classes, and it's been a success. So the TOTS class is pictured there on the screen, and it's the note from our recreation programmer was it's always exciting to watch and see what they do, and I bet it's a toddler class. So also happening this last weekend was the Run for Trey, which happens annually. This year, as you can see, 222 participants. It was a very good event, and $11,000 were raised. That money all goes toward a number of projects, but a number of things, but all evolving around the Trayton's Field of Dreams field in Starren Park. Also, we had staff be seen at the laps for Lakeview. Every, I think, elementary school this week, or at least 2, but I think all 3 had a similar fundraising program with children running laps for pledges. And so Liz, our CSO, is there to participate and help out. For those of you wishing to follow the budget process, the next budget meeting for the city is Thursday evening, and the items to be discussed are listed there. Library, Community Development Authority, Innovation Center, our tax increment districts, neighborhood services, public works, capital projects, stormwater utility, water utility, and wastewater utility will all be on the agenda at that meeting. The meeting starts at 5. The original or first meeting was held in this room. This one is agenda to occur upstairs. If we have visitors or attendees that exceed the space allowable up there, we'll put up appropriate signage and move it down here. Also this week was the dedication of the Mary Poppy Christmas Success Center on campus. This is an addition to the Laurentide Hall. It's a beautiful addition. Staff was present to support the university and give thanks to the generous donors that made it possible. And it was a good event. I would encourage anyone interested to take a look on campus. It's a beautiful facility used primarily for tutoring students. It's an excellent resource for students that needing any additional help with any subject matter on campus. Also happening now and through to the 20th is hydrant flushing. So just be aware, in your neighborhood you may see water crews out opening the hydrants and flushing the hydrants. That sometimes stirs up a discoloration in the water. So if you are using your sink, just don't be careful to wait a little bit for that water to go clear again. It should not take long. If you are concerned or it seems like it's taking a long time, please feel free to contact the city and we can investigate. If it has been going a long time and there's a problem, we can fix it. Also this month, just a reminder, it's Fire Prevention Month, so take advantage of the opportunity and check your fire extinguishers. Make sure that they are current and useful, that they haven't outlived their life or expired. Youth Halloween party coming up at the end of this month. This is happening in the Armory from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on the 28th, which is a Saturday. Entrance is 50 cents per child or youth, or a canned good to provide to the food pantry. It's always a positive event, so we invite the community to come and participate. Just an update, current projects, a couple that have actually been requested or inquired about by council members. The first one, for 88 compliance purposes, this building meets standards because it was built prior to changes in standards that exist now. But in spite of that, we've decided to improve the building in a couple ways to make it more accessible to folks coming in that may have a mobility need or challenge. We're going to be installing bathroom doors with the ADA accessibility buttons on all bathrooms in this building before the end of the year. Dog park relocation is another project that is underway. This will be something that happens in 2018, so in the springtime, if not before, you'll notice that the dog park would be relocated to a parcel at the intersection of Jefferson Street and Starren Road. The park board has weighed in on that project and will be bringing it back for discussion and just affirmation from the council at a later date. Franklin and Ann Street Reconstruction Project, this was a project that was meant to be had this year, but was postponed so that we could apply for a grant. And due to the efforts of our clerk and our several other employees in the city and working with Strand and Associates, we were able to be awarded that grant. And so now we're looking to take care of this project in 2018. The estimated bid letting time ideally is January, maybe February, but we'll be coming to this body and then moving forward with issuing a bid and coming back with a contract for that project. Fremont Street drainage issue, this is an ongoing challenge that we had hoped to address this year with the addition of some drain tile. It'll actually be taken care of once the snow thaws, the beginning of spring of 2018. And one other item, just to let the council be aware and the community, this map is not gospel truth regarding where algae and vegetation has grown on the lakes, but if you can see the red area up there, it's the city manager's best effort to cover the areas where we've seen vegetation fill in the lake over time. At different periods during the year, these are areas where, for the most part, there are blooms of one kind or another. There are lily pads budding and growing or algae blooms occurring. So this is just one of the reasons why we are interested in looking at improving the lakes and potentially doing a drawdown. Staff met with the DNR on October 12th, received a lot of good information that we will share with a formal presentation by Heidi Bunk from the Wisconsin DNR on the 21st of November. So everyone publicly is invited to stay tuned or attend, and we'll have Heidi here for that to answer any questions. Anytime an issue comes up in more than one circle for me throughout the course of a week or a couple weeks, it becomes something I think that is worth looking into, and such has been the case for single-family housing. It's definitely a stir and a discussion item among residents in the community and specific groups, community groups. So I just bring it up here to point out that city staff is in process of evaluating how to move forward in addressing concerns regarding single-family housing. The primary area of focus would likely be what hurdles exist for subdivision development. Obviously, subdivision developers look for their market, and when they can turn a profit, they develop. We don't really want to overspend or waste city resources in funding any of that process, but whatever the hurdles are for a developer to come in and add an addition to an existing subdivision or to develop a new subdivision, whatever those hurdles are, we'd like to know what they are and do whatever we can to address them. So that's an area where city staff under my direction will be focusing some attention in coming weeks and months. But in addition, the Plan Commission has been in discussion regarding a housing assessment, I believe. And Councilmember Binney can correct me if that's a misstatement of the study that would be undertaken, but an assessment of existing housing, and has a subcommittee that will be meeting in the near future to evaluate that. The Greater Whitewater Committee has also, of which by virtue of council direction and council permission on funding, the city is also a member through the city manager position of the Greater Whitewater Committee. They have a subcommittee that will also be discussing housing, specifically looking at subdivision development. I think, don't want to paint them into a corner, but that's, I think, safe to say the primary focus. So just so that it's on everyone's radar, we've put to bed just about anything I can think of related to zoning changes associated with what was originally meant to be a change to code related to commercial development a few years ago. And this is now, I think, the area of focus where staff will be directing attention in the future. Coming up November 4th and 5th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. is the Art Fair at the Cultural Arts Center. Take advantage. The Cultural Arts Center is a resource in our community. Not many communities our size, excluding university population our size, have a resource such as this. And certainly the university is a helpful component in the community, making it happen, but a lot of the work comes from longtime residents and children in the community that is exhibited there. Fantastic, fantastic resource, and I would encourage anyone interested to take part and attend those 2 days. Also, Pause for a Cause 5K run is coming up. This, formerly known as the Nearly Naked Run, which I believe discouraged some folks from participating. And so it clearly states, and I think Councilmember Schulgen is pointing to at the bottom, no nudity, no thongs. That's intended to be there to clarify this is no longer the Nearly Naked Run, it's Pause for a Cause. So bring your families. It'll be a little bit more family-friendly than the prior title would allude. One other item that's not in the slides that I just wanted to mention is next Wednesday at 5 p.m. in the library will be a formal launch of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library Program, sponsored by Whitewater Leads. This is a program that provides books to children 0 to kindergarten age directly to their homes. So eligible families can apply, and to do so, don't ask me about that right now because I didn't bring those details with me. A press release regarding this program will be provided through the city by the end of the week. But this is an outstanding program and a great addition to the Whitewater Leads organization and what they're doing to promote literacy of all kinds in the community. So just to be aware of that, more information will be forthcoming. With that, that concludes my presentation unless there's questions.
I remember at the beginning of September, there was a gentleman who came to talk about starting a musical festival here. Did he ever contact you again about that, or there's not been much follow-up?
He did not. We contacted him because the original date, based on what he had mentioned, seemed like it would correspond with the weekend of the half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a genuine concern about those events conflicting. That event did not occur. And I believe the actual event is intended to occur in the fall of 2018. So I've got his contact information, as does our Neighborhood Services Department. We'll be touching base with him again if we don't hear from him, probably the first quarter of next year.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll move to our staff reports, and Cameron, if you want to introduce the first one and then move to this.
I will, certainly. We are fortunate to have tonight our school district, Whitewater Unified School District, not superintendent, district administrator, as well as business manager with us, Mark Elworthy, the administrator, and Matthew Sylvester Knudsen as the business manager. They're here to provide an update to the community on progress with the school district. So I'm going to fiddle with this and turn time over to them.
Thank you, Cameron, for the welcome as we're transitioning. Do want to introduce everybody to Matthew Sylvester Knudsen. He is our business manager. He's been with us for the last 3 months, so I guess he's ahead of you by a couple days, but he's been a wonderful addition to the district, and you'll be hearing from him later. And of course, I'm Mark Elworthy, district administrator for the Whitewater Unified School District. This time last year, we were informing people about a $23.5 million referendum. As you know, it passed on November 8th, and so we'd like to give you a little bit of an update. And of course, if you have questions, let us know. But of course, the school district is much more than just renovating buildings, and we'll be sharing some achievements and celebrations that we've had in the past year. So, the referendum update, as you know, started work this summer. Bids were finalized on June 2nd. And of course, the question was, when are you building? Of course, actually, the question really wasn't November 8th. When are we going to see trucks and construction and renovation occurring? By about mid-July, this was the picture, probably later July. This is Lincoln's gym. And actually, later this week, it will have walls as the precast walls are delivered. So that'll be pretty exciting. Learning will be interrupted a little bit more tomorrow when the second crane shows up. I'm sure a lot of students will be wondering, what is that and what's it going to do? With the referendum, we had project drivers. All this information is on our webpage. We had a lot of community engagement before my arrival. We thank people for the contributions, and we use these as reflection points, or when we have questions about the work we're doing. Does the work we're doing represent what we talked about and what the community responded with in terms of guidance? These were the four major components: district-wide safety and security upgrades, instructional space renovations, additions, ADA accessibility, compliance updates, and then maintenance and infrastructure. So those are our four major components of the referendum. Currently, what we do is we meet every other week. JP Cullen is our construction manager. Many of you are familiar with their work with the city, with the Innovation Center. Actually, the Mary Poppy Christman addition on Laurentide was also done by JP Cullen and the architects we use, EUA out of Milwaukee. For the first, from November until bid date, EUA led the meetings. Now JP Cullen does that. Our maintenance person, Bill Kuchan, communicates regularly with their site superintendent. We all have regular site visits. And more importantly, as we looked at certain areas, we talked about four broad areas, but each building had some different points of emphasis. And Lincoln is getting the most attention, so I really credit Mary Kyler and her team. They served as our model for using the middle school and high school planning teams as well as other focus groups. But dialogue has been back and forth. We double check. When we have questions and concerns, we address them, and we meet as needed. And we'll probably be ramping up pretty soon in the middle school as we think we can move ahead during the school year, which will be exciting for that school to see the fine arts areas being renovated. With that, the work that was completed this summer, just wrapping up, we had now, by creating a new wing, have a courtyard that will have 2 outdoor learning spaces. We are not adding additional classrooms, but rather replacing 2 classrooms that were demolished and then adding the gym. At the high school, we have the main office. If you have students or are visiting, that is more or less complete. A couple fine-tuning components with our entrance system. It is in action. We're just going to go through a couple revisions. Last December, you'll remember, the snow compressed our former skylight. We have been, again, putting the finishing touches on, which seems for about 3 weeks, but they're about to finish that project up. So now when we tell people, they ask, where's the main office? We'll suggest find the red lighthouse. That is our main entrance. Please meet us there. In the back is the fitness area. That has 2 spaces. We're relocating the weightlifting room. That will be increased by 200% in size. Or excuse me, let me rephrase that. No, 300 or 3 times the size that we currently have. That started this fall, so once the foundation at Lincoln was finished, then they went and started building the foundation. Those walls will go up, scheduled to go up early next week. Pavement, we postponed that with Lincoln. We'll be in front of the Planning Commission for some revisions to what we initially had thought we were going to be doing for widening the Lincoln entrance on the north side. That did not come to fruition, so we'll be coming for an update. We continue in all types of circulation, and the same thing in Lakeview. The question really at the elementary level is how do we separate students, cars, parents, and buses? And so we're finalizing our circulation plans and recommendations, bringing that to the school board. Actually, on Monday, I think we're pretty close to that, but that's work that will be done in 2018. You'll also notice we had sidewalk repairs at Lincoln, Whitewater Middle School, and Whitewater High School. This is the work at the middle school. One of the things we looked at, you can't tell, I guess I could have put a ruler there or measured it, but after many overlays, our curb is no longer functioning. So we were trying to figure out, one, for the new entrance, which you can see on the left picture, that sidewalk will lead to what will be a renovated entrance. If you visit us right now, you notice about 1/3 of the work is done. That's because we'll come back. We did this work this past summer so that we can complete all the work next summer. Actually, next summer, as a side note, we'll be doing 50% of the work of this referendum in 3 months. So currently we finished 15% this past summer. During the school year, we'll finish another 35%, and then we're getting ready for the the summer blitz. And so looking forward to having that planned. My goal is to, by the first of the year, know exactly what we're doing, and it's going to be a great opportunity. But one of the challenges is, this is a pretty big area, and I don't want to get into too much detail, but what we decided to do is reduce the amount of pavement, worked with the fire department and our engineers. So instead of having a width of 29 to 31 feet, we narrowed it down to 24. So in essence, we reduced, in future, if this has to be repaved in the future, there'll be 20% less pavement on the overlays. Also adding a little bit of green space. You'll notice some of our unfortunate, as you've seen around the city, we have a lot of ash trees on site. We did take those down, but we'll have some opportunities to reintroduce some trees next year working with the middle school. So the curb, why is the curb important? It's going to help keep the water away from the building. And so we find it to be functioning quite well at this point in time. Also, some other completed projects. That was 2 days after we finished all the work on the right. We also added a little more pavement for where the students line up for buses. Staff reports that gives them a better ability to supervise. This is what the main office looked on August 15th. As you know, the first day of school is September 5th. Our staff moved in at 5 a.m. on September 5th. So I give our office staff the credit. This is what it turned into. We're very proud, very welcoming, and now we're able to meet and greet the visitors, and they can go out the door on the left of the picture, and then the other side is set up to serve our students and staff. This picture is from where the high school principal's office used to be. Skylight, the new design. Probably should get a better picture here. This is in August. And I don't have an updated one, so I'll need to do that when I get back to the office. One of the other things that happened is you noticed a lot of sawing going on. Our problem was a lot of interior wall cracking in the auxiliary gym, as well as expansion joints had been compromised on the exterior. This was a little more trickier, and again, people would contact us and say, why isn't there any work being done on the auxiliary gym? We really need it for fall sports, and we did get it done in time. So we had to go outside in. If we went inside out, there was a chance if the integrity of the wall was compromised, then it would have caved in. In the auxiliary gym, if you walked in there now, we don't have it painted yet. We're waiting for a break, and it's used a lot. But you'll notice that there are some columns, and what those are facade masonry. You have the CMUs, the regular bricks that represent most of the building, but we also have some steel beams for interior structure. The facades went in front of that and as a coverage, and then what happened though is we had shot puts and medicine balls hitting the walls, and those caved in, and that created a concern. So we had a structural engineer okay it, and that is all repaired. But as I said before, it was recommended, and we are carrying out. We'll be doing a little bit more work next summer, but addressing the expansion joints. This is a update. Again, as I alluded to earlier, people wondered, when is this construction going to happen? Demolition and prep takes a long time. You saw at the beginning a picture of what it looked like at the end of August. Here's another version of that. One of the things I like to share, one of the J.P. Cullen workers loves to do metal detection. In front of Lincoln Elementary School is a 1963 Matchbox car. It's very close to the existing main entrance, and there's a Boy Scout scarf. I always want to call it a pin, but very good. So next steps, we've completed the summer projects. Revise our contingency dollars. You don't know, especially in renovation, what you're going to run into. We are running on budget. Our contingency is strong right now, so that's good. As I shared before, we're in the middle of an October, November planning phase, finalizing the remaining schedule, and then future projects list. If we have some opportunities, which I'm hoping to, then we'll discuss that as a district and decide what best serves our students. So with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Matt.
Good evening, everyone. We ended the 2016-17 fiscal year with a $30,000 surplus balance in our general operating fund. When the referendum was passed last November, we were expecting a levy impact of 18 cents per $1,000 of property value, or $18 on a $100,000 home. When the original budget was passed by our board in August of this year, we had that down to about a 16.4 cent increase. And next Monday, our board will be approving our levy, and we're estimating a 16-cent increase. So we were estimating an $18 increase on a $100,000 home. We have that down to a $16 increase on a $100,000 home. I put this graph in here just to give you a visual representation of what enrollment and membership have looked like in our district. So enrollment, which is the bottom line there, are the actual students who are attending our schools, so actually physically present in our building. The line above that is a term called membership, and these are essentially students who live within the boundaries of the district but don't necessarily attend our schools. So from 16-17 to 17-18, we were down about 14 students physically attending our school, and down about 20 students as far as students within our district boundaries.
So things that I've learned along my journey in the first year, brought together a team of community members, appreciate time and dedication, and we talked about three main concepts: the budget, finances, how is that working, and of course the work to get a referendum passed. You know, you need support to make that happen. So our Citizens Financial Advisory Committee has played a huge role. We'll continue to use that as a way to dialogue, share successes, but also inform people of our challenges. Curriculum, of course, is what we all wake up to, whether it's supporting, teaching, and working with our students. Again, we work to inform people and also ask, can we improve? The other area was school and community relations, and that will continue to be a point of emphasis. How do we make those connections with our community members, inform people, and invite people into our buildings? I talked a little bit about the Lincoln Gym. That is set up on the corner. It is built in a way so that it can be used and it be accessible to community members without having to go through the building. So we've got that set up. We're finalizing parking lot or some parking. So once again, it's accessible and people find it beneficial. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling a little bit here. You know, just a part of our community and something that they can use. What makes Whitewater a great place? We have wonderful student leaders. I think you heard, some of you were there, safety exercise. Actually just had a wrap-up debrief on that today. We'd like to inform you a little bit about a mental health project. We're very excited to have a new partnership with some local school districts and Jefferson County along with Fort Healthcare. Technology safety is really important, and our community outreach, as I said before, is forefront. We had a Blue Ribbon nominated school in Washington 2 weeks ago. We were notified that we are a Blue Ribbon school. It's one of 9 schools in Wisconsin, so that's 0.6%. At the top 0.6%, Tom Grzinski and I will be going out to Washington, D.C. to get our award and participate in a ceremony. Another thing that's really exciting, part of the referendum, I think many of you have met David Brockup. Prior to administration, he was a tech ed teacher, and Lakeview has worked really hard in integrating the science, technology, engineering, art, and math into, many components of instruction. They've started, even though the space has not been renovated at this time, they've started using it as a STEAM room, and a lot of great things happening there. We're actually, hoping to build upon that. Award-winning staff and students, I'll let Matt talk to that a little bit, but as well as staff committed to raising the bar. The district, I cannot comment on it right now. We received our initial viewpoint of school report cards. Those will be released to the public last year, but I will share with you that we had two buildings exceeding expectations. That would be Lakeview and Washington, Part of that is because of the growth of our students. We admitted, as you know, Mary Kyler's done a fantastic job with Leader in Me. The staff has been incredible with that. I think that's why we've been so, they've done such a great job with our referendum projects, not to mention the day-to-day instruction. We believe that the groundwork has been laid for some successes at Lincoln. The same is true at the middle school, and we're also looking for, I really appreciate the work that Mike Lovenberg, he's our new principal, and Nathan O'Shaughnessy, he's our associate principal. Two things that they're working on this year with their staff, their two goals presented at the school board last month was ACT. That's been a conversation. How can we get better? We're slightly below the state average right now, but that is in the forefront of their goals, as well as figuring out how to get students, our high-performing students, making sure they have access to quality instruction. I think that's going to be a key component there. But the other thing they're working on is relationships. We had Tony Frontier, he's a professor at Cardinal Stritch. To kick off our year, he also came back and worked with the high school. And it's this growth mindset where instead of getting down over the challenges we have, how can we get better? How we can support that person? And that is a very strong message that is coming out of the high school this fall. Golf for Kids honorees, thank you again to the City of Whitewater, Parks and Rec, a great partner for after-school programming. Not every school district has these opportunities. I saw them having a great time when I was visiting Lincoln today. Thank you to the city. Sweet Spot, positive message, really support a variety of initiatives, and so Sweet Spot is also was honored. Nelson's Bus, when we had our evacuations, I could tell you, besides the first responders, nothing happens smoothly without Nelson's Bus. And so Dave Nelson, Chris Arnett, they did so many things, and I just want to thank them publicly for that. They do a lot. We're fortunate to have a business like that in our community. Seth Meisel's group in UW Extension, we have a lot of, Kelly Seichter has worked with them. We have a certification program for reading teachers. That was something we felt was really important. Seth has been the person to get that done. Chris Welch, who is also covering today, so thank you, Chris. Chris is one of my barometers. If I'm at a meeting and Chris is there, I know that it's an important meeting or activity to be at. And of course, many service organizations in the community recognize Rotary, who really values education, so we thank them. And thank you, Cameron, for being the president of Rotary this year.
Welcome.
Student leaders, lead dogs, great job. Our seniors welcome our freshmen. Last year, 3 seniors on the right said, we need a robotics group. Incredible fundraising. I was looking at the numbers. I believe this year, or for this year, they've raised upwards of $11,000 for the program. Again, these are examples of a quality high school. This is year 2, about 54 students participating. Thank you to Laura Mossbrook, and they ate a lot of Topper's Pizza in preparation. The robotics club, they get this task, they put it all together, they test it, and then they go to a big gathering, whether in La Crosse and Milwaukee are the 2 regional areas, and then they go through a series of tests, and they learn a lot along the way. Again, our student leaders at both Washington and Lincoln. We also have an underwater robotics club at the middle school, and last year, imitation is one of the best forms of flattery, I think, as the phrase goes. But since the UW had some purple power, we needed Whip It Way, so the middle school put a little school spirit last year. Lakeview, busy, doing some student responsibilities and reading. Safety exercise, again, I talked about our evacuations, and we've had 2 hold locks this year just for a couple reasons, but we're good because we practice. We had 75 staff members present, another 75 community members on August 23rd. Fantastic. Again, practicing makes us better, but it's creating those relationships when you need them. and actively engaging, and we're proud to be a part of the Whitewater community. Mental Health Consortium, huge topic. About 4 years ago, Lenora Heim started asking how can we get more mental health support to our students in Whitewater Unified School District. Women Who Care, that's a subset of employees and community members in Fort Atkinson. They decided to sponsor 1 day a week mental health therapists for us at the high school last year. We were the pilot. As a result of that, this is the new consortium. Jefferson County provided $35,000 of training this past summer. They are planning to do the same. People would say, wow, Whitewater there's not a lot of Jefferson County in Whitewater. And the criteria of the grant dollars in this case is as long as there's one student in the class from Jefferson County, they can provide services. So we've really benefited. But we're also working with Jefferson School District and Fort Atkinson School District. So proud to announce that instead of 1 day a week, we have 1 day at the high school. Now we have 1 day at the middle school, 1 day at the high school, and of course our goal is to provide support for our middle school students. Some of the training we did, it's called dialectical behavior therapy. It's how to interact with people that have been traumatized. It's just a mental health, and we're going to be doing some more training on November 10th on our half day with staff. Technology, again, when you have challenges, and I want to thank Jake Hintz. He has regularly for a while, and I'll look to Lisa even before Jake, our police liaison have been regular components in helping our students make better decisions. Last year, it reminded us we've just got to do more, so we brought in Sergeant Tom Rich. He did a community presentation, about 100 community members attended, and then he met with all middle school and all high school students the next day. The reality is the smartphones, people are on them all the time. It has absolutely changed the way we interact, and so Tom provided us some insight as to how to be a better consumer, and to remind us as parents, or maybe if we're an aunt or uncle, or we are a VIP of some students, that we really need to ask, what are you using the technology for, and what are some of the indicators? So we've done that. The other thing, last year when I came, Peace Circles were in full flight about this time, probably just wrapped up our third Peace Circle. In years past, we've had in the school district a Martin Luther King Day celebration. This year it's coming back. It's going to be focusing on 6 principles of peace. Appreciate it's a community, university, school district initiative, something that we're going to be doing at the middle school and high school. We've had about 5 or 6 meetings, and it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. But from this, we also have a staff members that say, what can we do to interact with our community better? And so Amy Roselle, speech and language therapist, has, through one of her professional development projects, has created some community outreach engagement opportunities, and how do we support our community members that are new to us. So fantastic stuff. Again, thank you for the opportunity to address the council, and we're happy to answer any questions, provide updates that you would like.
Thank you for coming, and are there any questions from council?
Thank you very much. Yep.
Thank you very much, Mark and Matt. Yes. Thank you to Mark and Matt for that presentation regarding the great things going on in the school district. The next presentation is a quarterly report that will be provided by Downtown Whitewater. And Courtney's here to present. I'm going to grab the keypad.
I do need this. I believe he's pulling up our presentation right now. Great, and
Okay, thank you very much.
so right now, your council's just getting a stack of papers that will kind of go into more detail than I'm going to cover in a short presentation tonight. But if you want to use that for any questions, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's magical. Okay, good evening, everybody. So as part of our agreement with the city, we do quarterly updates just to tell you a little bit about what we're doing, what we're going to be doing, and also something that we've been doing for the last couple of years that I'm going to continue a little bit with tonight is giving a little bit of national context. What is National Main Street, and how does that affect us specifically? And also, what are some of the trends that we're seeing that are important to Main Street communities all over the country? Starting with that. So why Main Street, why now? I will read this quote in case anybody has a hard time. It says, communities and regions are in a global competition to attract and retain a talented workforce. Increasingly, these talented workers are choosing where they want to live first and figuring out their job situations later. So this comes from a study from a group called CEOs for Cities. It's an independent nonprofit that looks at trends for economic development and also how it affects cities of all different sizes. This is interesting because I really want to emphasize that this is the first time this has been true ever in history. Traditionally, people find their job first, and then they find a place in their community after. For the first time, people are really looking at certain factors about quality of life, and then determining where they want to work next. This also does kind of feed into the trend of working remotely and what kind of technology is allowing people to do. I apologize, we have different versions of PowerPoint, so just bear with some of the formatting. So again, emphasizing Oklahoma City Mayor, economic development is really the result of creating places where people want to be. So sometimes we do joke a little bit that we feel like the festival people, but that is actually a really important part of community development. Thinking through what makes somebody's life better, what makes a community tighter knit, those are actually really important things when people are deciding where they want to live, where they want to raise their families, and where they want to stay. Some of the actual things that they've started to measure in terms of what they're calling dimensions of uniqueness. Healthy downtown, we call ourselves the living room of the community. It's because we look at it as a centralized hub for workplace, for eating, for going out. We believe that a healthy downtown is a healthy town. So although we do have a geographic area, we believe that working really well with businesses, with people that don't live downtown is vital to our success, and that it really is a really strong relationship both ways. So I think that's something to kind of think about. The other thing, historic buildings. There'll be some great quotes about this later, but most of our historic buildings in Whitewater are in fact downtown, and a lot of the preservation work has been focused there. I know a lot of people really appreciated the really intensive facade work that downtown Whitewater did a few years ago, and that's something we'd like to see continue. Anchor institutions, walkability and walkability scores are something that you see kind of in two different age groups. You see millennials who are increasingly wanting highly walkable neighborhoods, but you also see people who are retiring who maybe don't feel comfortable driving anymore, and walkability is incredibly important to them. Parks and green space, which Whitewater has a wonderful selection of. Arts and culture and restaurant variety also rank in things that people look at when they're looking at quality of life. So just to reiterate a little bit of these things, why focus on downtown? It's like the nerve center. Okay, where are we right now? We're downtown. A lot of our resources are downtown, some of our biggest meeting places, some of our largest event spaces. Also, preserving the history of a community and its importance. One of my favorite, I'll just take a piece of this quote from Arthur Fromer, who does Fromer's Travel Guide. So I love that he says, tourists simply won't go to a city or town that has lost its soul. So when we're talking about historic preservation and landmarks, I think that's something to really keep in mind. People want to know, what's the community about? What do they care about? What do they love? And why should I love it too? And lastly, the nation's largest workforce actually rank authenticity and interesting as more important than comfortable or predictable. So that is also a shift. Millennials like to live in warehouses and work in depots and have some really interesting, soulful architecture that adds to their quality of life in a way that maybe we haven't considered before. So that's just a little bit of context, things that we're thinking about here, and just kind of like letting everybody know that the things that we're concerned about, the things that we're talking about, that's a national conversation. And there are about 27,000 cities around the country that are having the same conversation. So that's kind of one of the big advantages of being part of such a big network with National Main Street. But what's next for us specifically? Earlier, Cameron mentioned the Park and Rec Halloween event. We have one right before it, called Trick or Treat the Triangle. So everybody should come out, bounce in a bouncy house, paint some pumpkins this year. Also, our businesses will be open for trick or treating, and we have really wonderful gift bags and a Halloween costume competition with some great prizes. So start thinking about what you want to be early, test out that costume on the 28th, right before Halloween. Also, the Parade of Lights. This year we have a theme, and it is I'm Dreaming of a Whitewater Christmas. So, if you are part of a group or a really adventurous family and you have not signed up for our parade, please let me know. And we already have quite a few applicants, which is very exciting. We already have 6 floats confirmed, so very good to grow on last year's success. Also, snowflake repair is underway, so everybody will start seeing the beautiful snowflakes at the end of November. And we will be looking at increasing our winter market that we had last year. So actually, right as I was leaving to come over here, I had 3 vendors stop and ask me about that. So know that people are already planning their Christmas gifts that they will be selling. Next, Small Business Saturday. We have a lot of projects that we work with other community groups on. This is a really great highlight of that. And we work with Think Whitewater Buy Local and also the Whitewater Chamber of Commerce to plan this event. And so last year we had 26 businesses. We're hoping to get more this year and looking at some scavenger hunt type of activities to include kids. You might want to go out shopping that day after, or Saturday after Thanksgiving. And then last, our winter markets. So sadly, we only have 2 more Whitewater City markets left, so mark those on your calendar. So following October 31st, we will be shifting to Saturday winter markets. We will let you know when we have our first date. It partially depends on our greenhouse growers and how quickly we can start getting greens in. So we applaud all of the work they do to keep us having fresh produce all winter long in Wisconsin, and we don't want to rush them. So they will let us know when we are ready to go next. 4th of July. Now that downtown Whitewater is getting involved in 4th of July, this year will be the first one that we kind of start right away with the committee on. So first meeting will be December 7th. Following that, we'll have some more details to pass on your way, but rest assured, our president is already hardworking with the 4th of July committee, who is in the audience. And so I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about projects at our next updates. You'll actually be seeing me in about a month. So no one will have time to miss me. And we'll be talking a little bit more about projects then, where we're at and where we're going next. They are also included in your handouts, so if you would like to ask any questions about that, you're more than welcome to. But for right now, I will just leave it with, you can see we have a lot of things going on. One kind of exciting news thing that I got today I'd like to share, we did receive a mural grant to do a community art project from the Wisconsin Arts Council, and we found out today that will be for $4,500 to do a public mural. So that should be very exciting news for everybody. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I'll answer otherwise.
Any questions? All right. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Very much.
All right, next up, we have hearing of citizen comments. No formal council action will be taken during the meeting, although issues raised may become part of a future agenda. Participants are allotted a 3-minute speaking period, and although specific items listed on the agenda may not be discussed at this time, we definitely allow for public input when those items come up for debate. So if there's anything not on the agenda, come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. All right, seeing no one, we'll move on to our next item, which is consideration C1, update on grocery store recruitment and on grocery co-op. Carol, you asked if this be on, but I think Cameron was going to lead it off.
Okay, so I had a couple of you asking tonight when we arrived why there were no grocery co-op folks here. I actually had a good conversation with Lacey Reichwald regarding the co-op. And they actually are providing an in-depth presentation next Thursday at the CDA meeting, the 26th, so a week from tomorrow. But I do have information that I can share, and this is specifically regarding the cooperative. Excuse me. They are at, I failed to check with her, but looking at other notes and online, they are over 240 members now, owners in the cooperative. Their first owners meeting, the first annual owners meeting, will occur on October 25th, starting at 5:30, and then voting for board of directors members is at 6 o'clock, and then a program is at 6:15. So if anyone would like additional information, I'd be happy to get that from the steering committee and those that have been involved in the project thus far. That event will happen at 841 Brew House, again on October 25th. The other item I wanted to mention was that one of the many things that the cooperative effort, the Whitewater Co., I guess, is working toward was funds for doing a preliminary market study. This is not the kind of detail that would talk about where the building is going to be located at any future grocery store, or what it's going to look like, but more dealing specifically with the size and scope of the operations moving forward. What market could the community support from the cooperative? So at this point, I wasn't able to ascertain where they are in that process. However, I know that Food Co-op Initiative, which is an organization that exists to facilitate and be a resource for development of cooperatives for grocery store cooperatives. They're based in Minnesota. They have provided the seed grant funding and are our resource for the co-op to utilize. So again, I don't have status right now on where they are in that process, but I'm positive they'll be mentioning that on October 26th. So with that, I don't know if I'm sure that doesn't answer everyone's questions, but I might be able to answer more.
Also just say from the CDA perspective, now that we have our full-time director in Dave Carlson, I know he's been working on reaching out to different opportunities and vendors and that, just working that angle, but nothing so
I had
far.
discussions with, I guess, yeah.
Just so that it's a two-pronged approach, but he's working on it as well.
That's all I have, but to say that I've been at two different community group meetings where this group has presented regarding this effort, and I'm impressed with how cautious and well-meted out their efforts have been. There's as much as you would expect wishful thinking, and as much as some people might be tempted to think in the clouds a little bit on what is attainable, the efforts of this group have been, it appears to be much more down to earth than I think some critics would state. So, but anyone that would like to see or hear from them can do so on October 26th, and then I would be happy also to follow up with another update at the next council meeting following that. So, thank you.
Did you have anything else on this topic? Carol, did you have anything else you wanted to add? No. Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to our next item, council requests for future agenda items. Mr. Shulgit, any future agenda item or Polco citizen polling?
Nope.
All right, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Grady.
We need to have a consideration next time to talk over as a group the good governance rules we wish to imply and explore along with examples and that type of thing of why we need it.
Mr. Sure, yep.
The microphone. I'm going to Park and Rec tomorrow evening, and I'm going to get an update on the DNR situation. I think a Polco question about the public's desire for this project to go forward as far as a dredging project. It's going to be a major one in the city, and I think we certainly should have some input from that. I don't know if it's too early for that, but that's something I think we should think about.
Thank you. We've been thinking about it at staff level as well, so be happy to work on that.
Chris, did you have anything else? Chris, did you have any other topic? All right. Mr. Allen? Mr. Allen, have anything? All right, next we have adjourned to closed session not to reconvene pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent E, deliberating, negotiating the purchase of public property, investing public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The only item to be discussed is negotiation of agreement for use of city-owned conduit, and for this, we'd be also inviting in Steve and Brad.
Second.
Roll call, Michelle?
Shulgit,
Aye.
Grady, Benny,
Aye.
Singer,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
McCormick.